Rivera, and this is my final report on the United States Army Medical Logistics Reduction and Distribution through Direct Shipments and Inventory Accountability. This is my executive summary. Basically, in a synopsis, is talking about the key players in the distribution process of medical supplies. And I will be focusing this report on examining the distribution process and its cost efficiency and how inventory control effectiveness plays a key role in this cost reduction. Working at a strategic level of medical operations for the Army Reserves, I was able to engage one of the department heads in logistics who's got 25 years of experience. And that Master Sergeant's concern basically was that once the units are out the door, there's no way to track that usage of inventory. So they're basing their allocation of funds and what they need to buy for the next fiscal year on what they bought the year prior, but that's not actually accurate. They're not getting any reports back on what is actually being used. And then for my own research and experience, the distribution of supplies from CONUS to OCONUS, it still has a lot of stops, which is costing a lot of money. And if they could just streamline that into direct shipment, it probably would make the process a lot more cost efficient. This is just a slide showing, as the pictures depict, how in OIF and OEF, the beginning, how our supply looked, which was pretty crazy. They would send you out with a year's worth of supply. There was no infrastructure in place. There was no temperature regulated areas, so you lost a lot of supplies due to the sweltering heat that needed to be in temperature controlled areas. There was no type of contracts with any local transportation, so that was an issue, and the lead times were very extensive. So in the beginning, it was really like a huge issue, supply and resupply. Well, thankfully, that got better. So currently, the Defense Logistics Agency, DLA, supports operations here in the United States and overseas. They are the prime vendor for the military for medical supplies. They are the ones that are in touch with the prime vendors on the civilian side in their contracts. The USAMC Southwest Asia command was basically implemented in 2003. Well, opened for operations in 2003 to shorten the distance between the theater and resupply, just to get it done a little bit quicker. However, the cost of operations for Southwest Asia is high, and the distribution from Southwest Asia to the theater is a high cost. The current distribution process is a semi-annual cost of $46.5 million. The lead times for the current distribution is 7 days, which isn't bad. However, this is based off of some pretty stringent rules of you have to have 30 days of a predicted order sheet to the prime vendors. If you exceed that by 10%, then your 7 days is busted and you probably will wait 37 days. if you add something additional to the pre-order sheet that wasn't on the pre-order sheet, now you have to wait 90 days for it. They have up to 90 days to process your order before they even ship it out, and then this 7 to 37 day delivery time comes into play. And just transportation methods, the prime vendor pays the initial cost of transportation to USAMC Europe. And that's just because they're co-located in Germany. It's not really that big of a cost. And then military and commercial areas use, and then from the MTF to smaller clinics in theater, it's usually by either contractor vehicle or the actual smaller MTF comes and gets the inventory. My proposed distribution adjustment for my research is that direct shipments would significantly decrease the semi-annual cost by about $14.1 million. If they did a direct shipment from USAMC Europe directly to the customer. DLA, like I mentioned before, DLA Germany and USAMC are co-located in Germany. However, the downfall is the lead time from Europe to the theater is kind of longer. This just depicts the cost difference. So the current cost right now, semi-annual, is $46.5, and with the adjustment, with the taking out of Southwest Asia as a main hub, it will reduce the cost to $32.4 million. And this just shows how that distribution happens. An additional thing is streamlining inventory usage to lower distribution costs. Like if through accurate streamlining of inventory from the end customer. If the end customer had some way to do accurate inventories on what they actually use, what they actually need, then they could reduce the inventory at the Southwest Asia area further, saving about $6.5 million, and just utilizing the Southwest Asia point as a emergency resupply. For whatever reason, Europe can't get something out that needs to be to theater quicker than they could engage Southwest Asia. My findings and suggestions are to utilize a direct shipment operation from Europe to the end customer. Use Southwest Asia as an emergency restocking distribution center. The accurate implementation of inventory at the lowest level, I think, is paramount in cost savings to ensure products are not wasted on the shelf. If the inventory is more accurately tracked, that will then change the amount of deliveries that have to be made and the load of the inventory, the savings in distribution costs, and then they could invest in a hand SKU reading machine that could be a part of the units. Basic load so that they can actually scan what they use, and that information could be either uploaded at that time or uploaded at a later date to kind of give an accurate count of inventory. In conclusion, although some of the information, the numbers have decreased due to the drawdown, it doesn't mean that this situation is not going to arise again, because we're still engaged in conflict over there. To date, we've spent about $4 to $6 trillion in this longest war in history, and I think that before they didn't really care about that, and I think that that's probably a way forward. It really messed up our economy, that we should be more conscious of how we spend taxpayer dollars. So a better cost analysis of inventory and distribution process will greatly impact that on the positive side. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.